In today's video, I'm going to talk to you all about neuroplasticity, which is our brain's amazing ability to learn and to develop new skills and to strengthen good habits and to weaken or break bad habits, which is really important when we're trying to make a lifestyle change, when we're trying to achieve whether it be weight loss or maybe financial freedom or whatever positive change you're trying to make in your life. Because of neuroplasticity, it is absolutely possible. Hey guys, if you don't know who I am, my name is Kelsey Wiebe and I am a certified personal trainer, a registered yoga instructor, and I have my bachelor's degree in biomedical science and in chemistry. And on this channel, I typically talk about the nutrition, fitness, and mindset shifts you need in order to rediscover the best version of you. And so today, I don't know if you know, but this is a brain. Yes, I'm pretty proud of my drawing. But I was thinking about this yesterday. So yesterday was Sunday, and I took a whole day to just unplug, and I was on my motorcycle for the whole day. I took about 8 hours just riding up through the mountains. It was absolutely beautiful. And it just took me a minute while I was riding. I was like, oh my gosh, this is automatic. This is something I don't even think about anymore. Like, I'm just riding and shifting gears and this isn't even an issue. And it kind of took me back. Like, when I first started riding 2 years ago, I was terrified. My bike, Rosie, I absolutely love her. She's a Yamaha V-Star 650, red, gorgeous. But when I first bought her, she was really heavy and really scary. And before I even bought her, I took a motorcycle class, right? I took a motorcycle class, and they don't just throw you on a bike, right? They make sure, like, first you take a class. You sit down, you take a class, and you learn about all the different parts of the bike, right? You learn where the brake is, you learn the clutch and the throttle, and you learn the different mechanics of how the bike works. And then from there, then you hop on the bike. But again, you don't just go 0 to 60, right? So you first start out by just learning the friction zone, like learning when to release the clutch and when to roll on the throttle, and it's got to be this right timing. Otherwise you'll stall the engine. It's super embarrassing. And then from there, then we're still keeping our feet on the ground, right? And we're just walking the bike slowly but surely. And then eventually we shift into second gear, and then we learn to turn and how to look through the turn and dropping your shoulder and leaning into it and all these things, right? And what I want you to recognize is, like, it takes time. It takes practice. In no way was, like, riding a motorcycle an innate skill that I had. Like, it took a lot of repetition, took a lot of practice. And what I want you to realize is that this can just be like anything we're trying to learn. And I want you to think about your health journey rather than like trying to hit a certain number on the scale or trying to fit into a pair of pants or whatever it is. Instead of looking at the outcome like that, instead look at it as developing a skill, developing a habit, and realizing that you have the ability to create a habit and to learn a new skill. And in the same way, you have the ability to unlearn a skill. So if we're trying to learn a skill, so think about it this way, right? Like if you're trying to learn how to be a healthier person in general, rather than changing all of your meals, like the 0 to 60 there would be, I'm going to meal prep every meal and I'm going to eat perfectly and I'm going to have like chicken breast and broccoli for the rest of them. Like, no, that's just, you're not going to do that, right? But let's break it down into tiny skills. So like I did like with the friction zone, right? Maybe our first skill is just learning to drink more water throughout the day. And maybe we wake up and we just start having more water, and that's our focus. And then maybe we start learning to plate our food, right? Rather than eating out of the bag or out of the pantry or out of containers in the fridge, we actually sit down and we plate our food. And then maybe we start focusing on having more protein. And then maybe the next skill, once that's automatic and not something we think about, maybe we start thinking about adding in more vegetables or more whole sources of fiber. And then maybe we start looking at good fats. And then maybe we start learning to cook a little bit more. It's just like you start small, really small, and then you start growing and growing and growing. And then what happens is those little small skills, they become automatic. You don't even think about it anymore. They become who you are. And the reason is because, I don't know, like I said, this is my drawing of a brain, right? So we have the ability to strengthen certain pathways. So let's say that this has been our pathway for the last whatever while, right? And we've been going this way, and this pathway is really, really strong. Let's say this is going out to eat. Like, whenever you're coming home from work, instead of going to the gym or whatever, you go through a drive-in, okay? And this is now your habit. This is just what happens. You're cued that whenever you drive or whenever you're coming home from work, you see the drive-in, you're like, oh, well, it's just easier, and you go to the drive-in, okay? Or you go to McDonald's or whatever it is, right? But then say we decide to change the habit, that instead after work, instead of going out to eat, you're first going to go to the gym, and it's going to feel really awkward, and it's going to feel really scary at first, and it's going to feel like really uncomfortable. I was really scared on that bike. Like I could barely move, right? Or like anytime I was at a red light, you're panicking because everyone's watching you and you're really worried that you're going to stall the bike in front of people. It's uncomfortable. It's no fun, right? But after a while, this is our new pathway, right? This is our new pathway. And again, we start going to the gym. And we start going to the gym. And we start going to the gym. And we start strengthening this pathway. And the beautiful thing is if we strengthen this pathway, what neuroplasticity is whatever fires together, wires together, all right? And so that means we can strengthen this pathway, and this is what's going to wire together. And the best part is we can actually weaken things. So think about it. Have you ever learned a language, maybe in high school or college? And maybe if you haven't been to that country in a while, or you haven't practiced with somebody, what's the likeliness that you actually still know that language? There's just this thing that, like, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So if we start, maybe we're, again, trying to change our habit that rather than going to McDonald's, we're going to the gym. And the more often that we don't go to McDonald's, the more often that we don't do this, we weaken this pathway, right? And that's the same thing, like if you overeat, or if you struggle with binge eating, or any bad habits, whatever it is, you have the ability to weaken and to almost remove that pathway and to create a new pathway. It's absolutely possible because of neuroplasticity, because our brain is plastic, because it's able to literally be rewired and reprogrammed. But it does take 3 things. Number 1, you have to have a big why. A big desire, a big reason for wanting to change your behavior. For me, learning to ride the motorcycle, my big why, my brother and my dad ride. And I really wanted to be part of the experience and the memories. And it was really important to me that I was part of it. And I didn't want to be left out, even though it was really scary and frustrating and hard. And let me tell you, there were some tears on that freaking bike. I still kept going because I had a big why. I had a big desire. So if it's for your health, if it can be, if your big why can be maybe to be able to have energy to be with your kids or to be with your grandkids, or maybe it's to have more energy to show up for work, or maybe it's just to feel more confident and strong and whatever it is for you, but there's got to be a big why, right? I'm just going to go for it. I like writing on the whiteboard. So big why. Right? The next thing that you really have to have is a belief. All right? And this is belief. So if you've ever heard of Carol Dweck, she's a Stanford professor. She's amazing. She talks about growth mindset. And like, in order for any change to happen, in order for you to even take the first step, or more so for you to continue when things get hard and frustrating and scary and whatever else, you have to believe that it's possible for you. You have to believe that it's even possible. Otherwise, if you don't believe it's possible, when things get hard, you'll just give up because you're like, what's the point? All right. So you have to have a big why. You have to have a belief. And the last one, consistency. I don't even know if you guys can see this, but whatever. Consistency. Get your reps in. You've got to repeat it. As James Clear in Atomic Habit always says, every action we take, every habit we develop, it is casting a vote for the type of person we want to be. like I said, if you don't use it, you lose it. So if you want to continue this habit of going to the gym every day after work rather than going takeout, or whatever habit you're trying to develop, you have to have a big reason why you want it. You have to believe that it's possible for you, whatever outcome it is, and you have to put the reps in. You have to put that repetition. You have to keep rewiring it. You have to keep firing it again and again and again and again until it just becomes who you are, until it becomes automatic. You know this is possible. Think about learning to drive a car, right? When you're first learning to drive a car, shifting it, whenever you're learning to slow down or when to speed up or whatever else, like a lot, your brain is thinking about it all the time. It's a lot of energy. And this is why neuroplasticity happens, because our brain wants to be efficient. If we were constantly thinking about how to brush our teeth or how to wash our hair or how to put on our pants, like we do all of those things automatically. We don't even think about it. And we do it the same way every single time because that's how our brain works. Because when we do things automatically, now we have more brain space to think outside the box, to be more creative, to think about other big problem-solving things. And so make things automatic. Make it easy on yourself. Don't go 0 to 60 when you're trying to make a big change in your life. Don't try and change everything. Try and change one small thing at a time. Take it into steps. And once that small thing becomes mastered, and once that small thing starts to be rewired, then you can start building on that. But just know, more than anything, guys, it's possible. It's all possible. Anything you want is possible if you want it bad enough, if you believe in it, and if you believe it's possible for you, and if you're willing to be consistent, if you're willing to put in the reps and keep going. So if you got any value out of this, guys, please give it a big thumbs up. It really does a lot for this channel, and I really appreciate it. Be sure to share this with somebody, and be sure to, guys, to subscribe. I come out with new videos every Tuesday and Friday, just giving you all the tips you need to rediscover the best version of you. And other than that, guys, until next time, may you be happy, healthy, and fulfilled. Mwah.